Welcome to ABC tutorial. Today we are going to talk about the introduction to human anatomy and physiology. Anatomy is the science that studies the structures of the body and the relationships amongst them. It was first studied by dissection, which is the careful cutting apart of body structures in order to study them. Today, a variety of imaging techniques such as X-ray, computed tomography scan or CT scan, magnetic resonance imaging (MRI) and endoscopy contribute to the advancement of anatomical knowledge. Physiology is the science of body functions. That is, it studies how the body part works. Thus, anatomy studies structure, while physiology studies function. Because structure and function are so closely related, you will learn more about the human body by studying its anatomy and physiology together. The structure of a body part often reflects its function. For example, the walls of the air sacs in the lungs are very thin, permitting rapid movement of oxygen into the blood. Before studying the different structures and functions of the body, it is useful to consider its basic architecture. That is, how its smaller parts are assembled into larger structures. It is convenient to consider the structures of the body in terms of fundamental levels of organization. These include the chemical level, which is the very basic level and include atoms and molecules. These molecules combine to form cells, which are the basic structural and functional units of an organism. Group of cells and the material surrounding them that work together to perform a particular function is known as tissue. Two or more tissues that have specific functions that usually have recognizable shapes are known as organs. A group of related organs with a common function is known as a system. All the parts of the human body functioning together constitute the total organism. Tissues are a group of cells and materials that work together to perform a specific function. There are four basic types of tissues in the human body: the epithelial tissue, the connective tissue, the muscular tissue, and the nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue covers body surfaces. It lines hollow organs and cavities and also forms glands. Connective tissues connect, support, and protect body organs while distributing blood to other tissues. Muscular tissue contracts to make body parts move and generate heat. Nervous tissue carries information from one part of the body to another through nerve impulse. A system consists of related organs with a common function. There are 11 systems in the human body, and these include the integumentary system, which is made up of the skin and its associated structure. It protects the body, helps to regulate body temperature, it helps in making vitamin D, it helps to store fat and provide insulation. The skeletal system is made up of bones and cartilage. It supports and protects the body, provides attachment for muscle, and it aids in body movements. The muscular system, which consists of the skeletal muscles, it participates in body movements such as walking. It also maintains postures and produces heat. The nervous system is made up of the brain, the spinal cord, the peripheral nerves, and the special organs like the eyes and the ears. It regulates body activities and detects changes in the body's internal and external environment. The endocrine system is made up of glands such as the thyroid glands and adrenal glands. It regulates body activities by releasing hormones. The cardiovascular system is made up of the heart, blood, and blood vessels. The heart pumps blood through blood vessels. The blood carries oxygen and nutrients to all cells of the body. It also transports carbon dioxide and waste away from the cells. It helps in regulating acid-base balance, temperature, and also water content of the body fluids. Blood components also help to defend against disease and repair damaged blood vessels. The lymphatic system consists of the lymphatic fluid and the lymphatic vessels. It also consists of the spleen, the thymus, the lymph nodes, and the tonsils. It helps to return proteins and fluid back to the blood. It carries lipid from the gastrointestinal tract to the blood. It also contains sites of maturation and proliferation of B cells and T cells that protect against disease-causing microorganisms. The respiratory system consists of the lungs and air passageways such as the pharynx, the larynx, the trachea, and the bronchial tubes. It transfers oxygen from inhaled air to blood and carbon dioxide from blood to air. It helps to regulate acid-base balance of body. The air flowing out of the lungs through the vocal cords also produce sounds. The digestive system is made up of organs of the GIT and its gland such as the mouth, the stomach, the intestines, and the pancreas. It achieves physical and chemical breakdown of food, absorption of nutrients, and the elimination of solid waste. The urinary system is made up of the kidneys, the ureters, the urinary bladder, and the urethra. It produces, stores, and eliminates urine. It eliminates waste and regulates volume and chemical composition of the blood. It helps to maintain acid-base balance of body fluids. It maintains body mineral balance, helps to regulate production of red blood cells. The reproductive system is made up of the gonads, that is the testes and the ovaries, and the associated organs, such as the fallopian tube and the vas deferens. The gonads produce gametes, that is the sperms and the oocytes, that unite to form a new organism. The gonad also releases hormones that regulate reproduction and other body processes. Associated reproductive organs transport and store gametes. All body structures function together in order to maintain balance, also known as homeostasis. Homeostasis is the maintenance of relatively stable conditions in the body's internal environment. It occurs because of the constant interplay of the body's regulatory system. In response to changing conditions, the body's regulatory system ensures that body parameters are kept within the range that is compatible with life. For example, the pH of the blood is always maintained at a range of 7.35 to 7.45, and the level of glucose in the blood normally stays between 70 and 110 mg per 100 milliliters. Homeostasis in the human body is continually being disturbed. Some disruption comes from the external environment, such as blood loss that occur due to injury, while other disruptions may originate in the internal environment, such as a blood glucose level that falls too low when one skips breakfast. Homeostatic imbalances may also occur due to psychological stress in our social environment. In most cases, the disruption of homeostasis is mild and temporary, and the responses of the body cells quickly restore balance in the internal environment. However, in some cases, the disruption of homeostasis may be intense and prolonged. Fortunately, the body has many regulating systems, known as feedback systems, that usually brings the internal environment back into balance. A feedback system, or a feedback loop, is a cycle of events in which the status of a body condition is monitored. It consists of the conditions to be monitored, the receptors that detect changes in this condition, the control center which evaluates the input it received from receptors and generates output commands when they are needed, the effectors which produce responses in order to counter the change in the body condition, thereby maintaining homeostasis. In a negative feedback system, the response is opposite to the change in body condition. For example, a decrease in blood pressure will be picked up by specialized receptors located in the wall of certain blood vessels known as baroreceptors. The baroreceptors send nerve impulses to the brain, which acts as the control center. The brain then interprets the nerve impulse from the baroreceptors and responds by sending outputs to the heart and blood vessels, which acts as the effectors. The response produced by these effectors include decreased heart rate and blood vessels dilation. These responses then lead to a decrease in blood pressure and homeostasis is restored. Because the original stimulus of increase in blood pressure produces a response that leads to a decrease in blood pressure, this response is a negative feedback response. Unlike negative feedback, positive feedback causes a response that reinforces the change in the body condition. For example, during delivery, cervical stretching will be picked up by the cervical nerves, which act as the receptors. These send message to the brain, which is the control center. The brain interprets this message and sends impulse to the uterine muscles, which act as the effector. The response produced by the uterine muscles include more uterine contraction, which helps to push the baby down the birth canal, leading to even more cervical stretching. That is, the original stimulus of cervical stretching produced a response that leads to even more cervical stretching. This is an example of a positive feedback mechanism. This particular cervical stretching response that occurs during delivery is referred to as Ferguson reflex. Another example of positive feedback mechanism is the coagulation cascade that occurs during blood clotting.